The Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster has been out for quite a while now, and I have been enjoying it quite a lot. So, I figured, why not do a challenge on it? Today, I want to see if it's possible to beat Dead Rising without taking damage. With all of the improvements that the Deluxe Remaster made, gameplay-wise and control-wise, let's just see how much of a challenge this will truly be. Before we get started, let's set some ground rules first. Now, Rule 1 is pretty simple to understand. We simply can't take damage from anything. If we take any form of damage, we will have to reload to a previous save. For Rule 2, we're going to try and save every survivor in the game. With the new and improved survivor AI, there really isn't any reason not to save everybody, so that's what we're going to be doing in this challenge. Now that the rules are out of the way, let's get right into it. After jumping out of our helicopter onto the roof of the mall, we take a picture of Carlito's beautiful face before quickly heading inside. We head to the entrance plaza where we quickly realize that the mall is surrounded by zombies.
Looking to get yourself eaten alive by zombies?
What? Did you just say zombies? Did you just say zombies? What? Did you just say zombies? Did you just say zombies?
We run to the back of the plaza to grab anything to barricade the door when suddenly we watch some grown-ass adults somehow fail to overpower an old lady from letting the zombies in. With no time to waste, we dodge past the zombies and head right back to the security room where we meet Brad and Jesse.
Who are you guys anyway? And what are you? I took that one near the entrance. That guy do something?
Nope. Thanks for showing me, though.
We can't stay cooped up in the security room forever, so now it's time we head out onto the rooftop. We first help Jeff and Natalie get back to the security room before we take the elevator down into the warehouse of the mall. We almost bludgeon Jessie to death with a fire extinguisher befefore she tells us that our boy Brad is in trouble.
Brad was attacked. I located him on the monitor.
But before we deal with him, we need to gear up. Grab some drip from the nearby stores, make some Untouchables using the pies of the Colombian roast masters, and grab a couple of king salmon in the pond in the park. Now that we have everything we need, we head over to the food court to help Brad against Carlito. We jump up to where he's hiding before slapping him in the face with a fish.
Ammo! I've got some spares! Good job, reporter, man! Keep it up!
Carlito manages to escape before we can apprehend him, and since we need answers to what's going on, we convince Brad to let us in on the scoop. We follow Brad to the entrance plaza where we watch him fail miserably at convincing Dr. Barnaby to come with us, so with nothing left to do, Brad headed back to the security room. Now that we have some free time, we head upstairs and into the entrance plaza into a nearby store where we find Bill behind a bunch of boxes. We tell him to come to the safe room with us, and on the way there, we encounter Kent, and since he's tied to a survivor that we need to save, we are forced to do his photo challenge. Now that the shithead is gone, we finally bring Bill back to the safe room, safe and sound. The next couple of survivors I saved were Aaron, Bert, and Leah in the Alfresca Plaza, and once I brought them back to the safe room, I ran to the park where we encountered the convicts. I really didn't think it was worth fighting these guys, so I decided to avoid them the best that I could. With no time to waste, I used my skateboard to get Sophie before the convicts reached us, and brought her back to the safe room. Next, we head to Wonderland Plaza where we have to fight our first psychopath. Surprisingly, I was able to beat this fight without taking damage on my first try. Adam has a lot of attacks that leave him vulnerable, and he tends to use those attacks a lot, so it wasn't really that hard to take him down. I still had to be careful with his projectile attacks though, as they were quick and pretty fast. Now that the clown is down, we can rescue a couple survivors in Wonderland Plaza while we're still here. We get the Japanese tourist from the bookstore and Greg from the Wonderland ride. We use the secret shortcut that Greg shows us and bring the survivors back to the safe room. The last survivor before Case 2-2 is David in the North Plaza. This wasn't really that bad, as zombies are unable to grab you if you're offering your shoulder to him. You can still be struck by regular attacks if you're not careful, however. Now we start Case 2-2, and here we realize that Carlito has the professor, so now we have to fight him to get him back. By hiding behind the pillars on the second floor, we could shoot Carlito without taking any damage, making this a pretty easy win.
Almost there! Keep up the pressure!
Unfortunately, at the end of the fight, Brad gets hurt, so now we have to go get him some medicine.
Medicine, huh?
We run to the grocery store in the North Plaza to find Brad some medicine, but not without getting the shit kicked out of us.
I don't allow vandalism in my store!
Steven was probably the hardest boss by this point. He retaliates right away when you get close, and if you run at him from the side, he will instantly swing his shopping cart in your direction. Even if you dodge his charge by dodge running past him, he will instantly turn around and hit you, which is complete bullshit. Since getting close wasn't an option, we had to use a ranged attack. The best ranged attack in the store is throwing the cash registers. It only takes 3 hits, and he doesn't really have any way to defend against it.
Have a nice day.
Now that Steven's dead, we grab the medicine, and now we can help Brad. But before we do that, we need to help some survivors. First, we head to Wonderland Plaza and save Tonya and Ross, and once they're safe, we head over to Chrysalis in the North Plaza to fight a new psychopath.
You can't tell me, can you, fella? Oh yeah, I know why. It's because you're a mole.
Cliff was honestly not that bad. You can dodge his attacks by just outrunning them and then immediately attack him right after. You can also shoot him with the nail gun in the store when he's throwing projectiles at him. Be careful of his flares though, as once you get hit, you might as well just reload, as you almost definitely get hit by him. One thing though that is just blatantly unfair is that he would keep teleporting up to me after jumping through the hatches in the ground. I'm not sure if this was in the original or if it's just a glitch, but it was pretty frustrating and ended a lot of my attempts. Eventually he stopped teleporting up to me and I was able to beat his ass. Now that he's dead, we use the key he drops to unlock the door to the empty room right next to Chrysalis and save the survivors that are inside. But on the way back to the safe room, I didn't notice that Pamela was in Paradise Plaza, so she died. I decided to reload and I managed to save her this time and also get her and Heather back to safety. Right before the next case started, I went back and saved Gordon in Alfresca Plaza as well. The next case was simply a cutscene, so once it's over, I headed over to Jill's Sandwiches to go and save the fat bitch Ronald. We give him his food and take his picture, and when we head outside to the shop, we meet Kent standing on the fountain for some reason, and give him the picture.
Just one more contest, Frank. Be here tomorrow at noon. We'll settle this.
We head to Wonderland Plaza now, and here we need to fight Joe. I kept getting hit and reloading over and over again. I was using the mini chainsaws up to this point, and it seemed that if you go up and hit her and then immediately try to dodge, the recovery time on the chainsaw is too long to do that. So instead, I had to bait her around one of the counters in the store, which allowed me to hit her on the corners of it. This wasn't perfect, however, as it seems that she can still hit you straight through them, but with enough patience, I was able to beat her.
Can't believe a worthless prick like you did me.
We rescue the survivors in the store, and then knock down the survivors hanging from the rabbit statue. For some reason, there weren't any zombies there, so they were kind of just hanging there for no reason. Once we reach Paradise Plaza, the cultists are introduced, so we have to save Jennifer from them. Once we save her, we manage to get all of them back to the safe room. Now, we start Case 4-2. We head back to the North Plaza where we need to fight Isabella. Initially, I thought I could just fight her with melee, but I learned pretty quickly that that wasn't really going to work all that well, so instead I got a submachine gun and shot her right in her stupid face. With this strategy, the only attack that you really need to worry about is her pistol shots, as the gun comes out pretty fast. But with the power of the submachine gun, and with the fact that Isabella really doesn't have much health, she goes down pretty quick. Now that we have some time before we have to meet Isabella in the empty room in the North Plaza, I head to the entrance plaza and fight the sniper family. I was actually stressing out about this part, but it went way easier than I thought.
Stop interfering with my hunt!
Also, can I just say that I actually love that you could spare Thomas in the remaster? It's something I've always wanted to do in the original, but now I finally can. Now that the snipers are out of the way, I get Jolie, Wayne, Rachel, and Floyd back to the safe room. We head to the empty lot to meet up with Isabella when the door busts open and we have to save her from a zombie. We shoot it right in the face to get it off, and now we need to carry her back to the safe room. But on the way there, we meet Kindle just outside, so we take him with us. Once we take him back to the safe room, we head to Colby's Movie Land and fight that big bad cultist.
Now I shall return your tainted blood to the foul earth that has spawned you.
Sean isn't so bad to fight with melee. It's basically the same situation with Cliff where you can just bait an attack and then attack right afterwards. The one problem I was having, however, is Sean's slide move. He seems to retaliate with this move and he instantly turns while doing it. So if he pulled this move out while I was close to them, I would just get hit. So to stop this from happening, I got the machine gun and just blasted him in his dumb face. Is it cheap? Yes. Do I regret it? No. Not at all.
Behold, the fool has closed the path to his own salvation. You dare defile me?
We untie the survivors and bring them back to the safe room, and then immediately head to the food court where we convince Gil to come with us. We head back to the safe room and watch Dr. Barnaby get absolutely smoked and start case 6-1. Now that we're at the case before the last resort, we only have a couple of survivors left to save before the end of the game. I first head to the hunting shack, and as soon as I entered, I immediately got shot at by the survivors inside. I quickly dodge out the door, and once they stop shooting, I head back inside to talk to them. And for some reason, Jonathan decided to run in circles. He eventually stopped, but instantly aggroed and shot me. So I had to reload this encounter and went back to the hunting shack to talk to them again. I convinced them to come with me, but as soon as I head for the entrance to the Wonderland, I get shot by a zombie cop and have to retry again. This time, I kill the zombie cops before they start shooting, but Alyssa somehow gets stuck on the way to the entrance, and when I tried to knock her out of it, I got hit by a zombie. On this next attempt, I get them back to the safe room just fine. Seriously, fuck these dudes. The last few survivors to save were pretty easy. I had to Wonderland and fight Paul, which was very easy. I just shot him with a machine gun and he went down pretty fast. I put out the fire on him and saved him, Mindy, and Debbie. I then went and grabbed Susan and Leroy and was surprised when I learned that Susan has the ability to sprint at the speed of light. Now that we're back at the safe room, it's time to start Bomb Collector. But before we collect the bombs, we have to fight Kent first. Kent actually sucks ass, and there are only a couple reasons for this. One of which is his bullshit charge move. Not only does it track your movement, but it also covers a large distance too. I kept getting hit by this over and over and kept having to reload. Another attack that really sucks is his handgun, as you have to be moving before he pulls it out, and if you aren't, you're going to get hit. Kent's jump kick is the most terrifying attack ever too, as for some reason he's able to cut through time and space to reach you. I'm pretty sure it goes even farther than the original game. Now the strategy for Kent is pretty specific, but it worked pretty well. I would shoot him behind some of the pillars in the area, and when he got close, I would simply run around the flower bed until he would jump on it. For some reason, Kent will always fall over when doing this, so that let me get some free shots in. I kept doing this on a loop until I was able to take him down.
Get out of here, poser! Take my picture. It'll look great on your mantle.
But then, a problem occurred. After bringing Tad back to the safe room, I forgot to talk to Kendall and accidentally left the safe room, which made him take some survivors with him. Why is this a problem? It's because I forgot to save when I made it to the security room, and guess when my save last was. Before the fight with Kent, so I had to fight him again and spend another 10 minutes fighting him. Fuck Kent, dude. But eventually, I beat him again, saved Tad, and convinced Kendall's stupid ass to not take survivors with him. Next, I saved Simone in the CD shop, which is the last survivor of the run. With no more survivors left, all we have to worry about are the main cases. With no time to waste, we head down into the maintenance tunnel to find the bombs. And I got through this first try. The way I did this was by getting some queens first, so that way I didn't risk getting damaged by the zombies while I grabbed the bombs. And as for Carlito, well, he could only really throw grenades around, and they were pretty easy to dodge, so he didn't prove too much of a threat. I was pretty stressed for this part going into it, but got through it surprisingly quick. After we dispose of the bombs, I head back down to the tunnels to find our boy Brad.
I'm already dead.
With a heavy heart, I take his gun and put him down.
Good.
Now, all we have left are a few cases before overtime. In case 8-2, all we do is follow Isabella to Carlito's hideout, and just like the original, you can despawn the zombies around her by staying in very specific spots, which makes getting to the hideout pretty simple. At the hideout, we get a call from Jesse to come back, and once we get there, we realize that Carlito's in trouble. We head to the butcher shop to find him. Damn, compared to the original game, this guy's beefed up. But anyway, compared to Kent, this fight was a cakewalk. I only had to restart like 6 times. The strategy is the same as Clift, just bait his melee attacks and smack him while he's recovering. He does have some range attacks, but they're pretty easy to dodge and are pretty telegraphed too, so it didn't really take much time to beat him. After Carlito's bitch ass dies, we head back to Isabella and give her the pendant. She unlocks Carlito's computer, which allows Jesse to call HQ. We quickly head back to Jesse, but it's too late, and she's become a zombie, so we have to put her out of her misery.
Perfect.
Eventually, the security forces show up, so all we can do is wait until 10 a.m. for them to clear out. We head to the heliport and wait for it to arrive, but somehow it crashes. How the hell did he not notice the zombie in the back? Both side doors are open too, and when we look, we don't see a zombie in there. Well, anyway, he dies, the helicopter crashes, and now we start overtime. Overtime mode may seem pretty stressful at first, mainly because the special forces are absolutely broken in this game. But I came up with a good strategy to take care of them. Using a sniper rifle and the gun enhancing magazine, it lets me take down a special forces soldier and get his gun. Then all I do is blast any that get in my way while I look for items we need to make a suppressant. The grocery store is the only real stressful part in overtime, as the store is flooded with these guys. But, surprisingly, they don't hear your gunshots, so you can easily take them down one at a time without any risk. Once we get all the supplies, all we need are some queens and the generator we get outside in the park. We do have to be careful here, as it's pretty dark, so it's hard to see any special forces that are nearby. Well, except for the ones that are shooting fucking rockets at you. A little overkill for one guy, don't you think? Once we get the queens, we grab the generator and quickly run back to the North Plaza before the helicopter can get us. It didn't shoot at me while I was running back, which was pretty lucky, as most of the time it always seems to do this. We suppress Frank's infection, and now all we have to do is get to the zombie-infested tunnel. To get through this, we need to be near Isabella at all times and hold her hand the whole way. When we get separated from her so she can raise the gate, I would use some queens that I had brought with me to give myself some breathing room. When we lift the gate to the Jeep, I use a spare machine gun I brought to take down the soldiers blocking my way and quickly get in the Jeep. Next, we use the machine gun to take down Brock's tank, which was pretty easy as the tank really doesn't seem to have much health this time around, and now we have to fight him up close. And fighting him up close is basically suicide, as he is pretty aggressive and his attacks come out pretty fast. So what I did was drink a Spitfire before I got in the Jeep, and then once I got to the fight, the effects were still active, so I simply kept spitting on him the whole time. He still comes after us while we're doing this, so we have to keep running away and spitting at him. After spitting on him enough times, we're eventually able to beat him.
It's pointless to resist. Nothing will change.
And that is the end of the challenge. This was a pretty fun run. It wasn't really that bad though, if I'm being honest. I think the only hard parts were literally the boss fights. Like, Kent was literally the stuff of nightmares. I never want to try to fight him without taking damage ever again. But other than that, escorting for survivors was pretty easy. Most of the main cases were also pretty simple. So overall, not a very tough challenge, but I still had a lot of fun doing it. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, and I will see you in the next video. Later.